Hello, 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 sellers. Come on in, come on in. I'm Kathy Terrell, and I love to be selling. Today, we have such an interesting topic, and I'm also going to be answering an eBay seller question I got. And the topic I'm going to work on today is, have you done this recently on eBay? And it's very timely. I'm going to date this. This is November 22nd. As we're approaching Thanksgiving, Black Friday weekend, Cyber Monday, the whole holiday selling season, this is a really, and we get really busy with everything, but this is a very important strategy to include in your weekly to do, whether you're one of my newer sellers or my more experienced sellers. And I actually put it in my calendar. I've got reminders set up to remind me of certain tasks that I want to do daily, weekly, monthly, and this is one of them. But come on in. Welcome, everybody. I did want to answer a seller question first. And if you have questions, please feel free to post them wherever you're listening to this or seeing this. And as I have time, as I'm going through and doing these live streams and doing these videos and podcasts, I will do my best to include questions that are sort of pertinent to what I'm talking about. Or if a lot of people are asking the same thing, I can create a podcast, a live stream about that. And it was a really good question, particularly going into the holidays, which is, Kathy, I'm a part-time seller, or my eBay selling, because you're multi-channel, is being done on certain days. So let's say I do my eBay on Monday and Friday, or Tuesday and Friday, or I'm a part-time seller, so I've got an hour when I get home, or I might do it for a couple hours Friday afternoon or sometime on Saturday. It's not a steady daily working on eBay, which it is for a lot of the full-time eBay sellers, but it's more chunks of time, either because I am a multi-channel seller or I am a part-time, wonderful, thriving eBay seller. What do I do about listing? Because the question is, some people do like a batch of listings. So I've got a couple hours free. It's my eBay listing time. And I put together like 20 listings, but I'm not going to be able to do any more listings, for 3 days, 4 days, or a week. What do I do? What is the best policy to do? And what's going to really help you the most, particularly newer sellers, people that are under a couple hundred listings, is always to spread it out, right? It's those little breadcrumbs all along the way. And the reason for that is that the eBay algorithms are seeing consistent, steady work on your part, on listing, on adding things to the eBay site. Now, this is not like if you're listing on a regular basis, like let's say you do 10 listings one day and don't do anything for 5 or 6 days. It's not like that one action is going to grind your sales to a halt. Okay. It's very rare on eBay that one thing, unless it's like you're breaking some major rule, which of course we never endorse, that you're just breaking some major rule, and that would happen. But typically it just spreading it out makes more sense. I mean, think about going into a regular retail store. I was thinking about this because I've done a lot of work in big brick and mortar retailers like Bloomingdale's and Macy's and Bed Bath. You're going into a store and they have new inventory, and they've put new inventory out, or if it's a new display, and then you go back maybe 3 or 4 days later or 5 days later. And what's nice is, and if you hear noise, it's New York City. What's nice is there's more new inventory, something else to catch my eye. And you think about that, is the new inventory, the new listing is bringing more traffic to you. And that's why spreading out the listings can be very, very helpful, because it's bringing more traffic into your listings, to your items. And if you have an eBay store, to your eBay store. But how to do this? So let's say I batch, and let's say I've got one day where I've got a couple hours and I'm really doing the bulk of my listing on that day. You can save things in draft, and I encourage you to do it. So you can save it in draft. And if you don't have a store, you can actually prepare the listing and schedule it, because you're not charged for scheduling. So literally in that one day, You could just schedule everything so you don't have to think about it again, and then you're done. With a store, for some reason, and I don't know why, eBay, we are charged for scheduling listings. It is not free, but you can certainly put things in draft and then spread them out. And sometimes I'll do that if I'm doing like a lot in one category. Let's say I'm really kicking butt and I'm doing like a bunch of mugs, but I don't want to list them all at the same time. I want to spread them out a little bit. I'll list the ones I'm going to list, and then I'll save the rest in draft. So that was my input on that, is when in doubt, spread it out. You're going to be better off on that. Okay. Now, another thing, and this is for my bigger sellers, because I'll have bigger sellers come in and say, but Kathy, I don't list every day. I do great. I have wonderful sales, and that's fantastic. But that's for a large seller. That's typically a seller who has several thousand listings up or more. I mean, I work with sellers that have 13,000 listings up, 15,000 listings up. I've got a meeting coming up with a seller with over 20,000 listings. And that's a really different situation, because what that means is you've got all those listings that are generating you traffic. So for somebody in that situation with an enormous amount of listings, then it's a matter of sorting through the older listings and making sure there aren't some new item specifics you want to be adding or some promotional strategies you want to be doing to driving traffic. But for smaller sellers that don't have 13,000 listings up, it is good to spread it out. And particularly for my sellers that are under 100 listings, or they maybe have 50 or 60 listings up, again, spread it out. Why? Because that new listing you're putting up is bringing you traffic. And then you put another one up the next day and it's bringing you traffic. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, going into the holidays, a lot of sellers use promoted listings standard. And I've got a whole holiday tip blog up on my website. I want to show it to you. So if you hop over to ilovetobeselling.com, you'll see my blog, eBay Seller Best Holiday Money Making Tips. And I've got a whole set of tips for you to go through. And literally, you can just go through and pick the ones you feel that are best for you. We talk about promoted listings, talk about Terapeak. I talk about your titles, super important topics that can really help you during the holiday season, whether you're a newer seller or more experienced. And what I wanted to talk about briefly today is promoted listings and promoted listings standard. If you're not familiar with that, promoted listings standard is the one that most sellers use. And what it is it's pay per sale. So you'll be in eBay. You can either do this in the listing flow. You'll see the ability to promote an item, or you'll see it in your dashboard. And eBay will give you a suggested rate, 8%, 9%, 10%, 4%. And then you decide the rate that you want to promote. Many people do 2% across the board. That's the lowest rate you can do. And I want to address that, which is why I'm bringing this up for the holidays. So, and you may not. I work with other sellers. They might do 4% across the board. Other people, it's 5%. Other people, it varies on the category. So when you're creating campaigns, and that's what it's called, that's how you're grouping your items, I do suggest, and it's because of the suggested rate thing, that you group similar items together in a campaign. So put all your dresses in one campaign, put your shoes in another campaign, put your books in another campaign, and there's a reason for that, okay? So again, if you're able to do that, if it's not a ton of work, you're just starting new campaigns, or it's not too much work to rearrange your campaigns, do it. And this is why, okay? So let's say you are 2% across the board or 4% across the board. It's the holidays. This is very much like the stock market. The things go up and the rates go down. And particularly at the holidays, the rates go up. And there's reason for that. You have many more sellers coming onto eBay at the holidays. So more and more sellers are selling on eBay. And the sellers that are on eBay, so you've got more and more sellers coming on, and they're opting into promoted listings, and they're going to be picking the rates that they're picking. The other thing is the existing sellers on eBay, so our eBay seller friends, typically we are all ramping at the holidays. And what that means is we are all upping our inventory as much as we possibly can. We're getting our unlisted inventory listed. We're getting things listed that we think are good for the holidays, you know, for home decor, for self-gifting, for people on a holiday list. We are just getting everything up because this is such a big holiday season. And when that happens, many times you'll see the promoted listing rate, suggested rate, go up. I notice this particularly because I work with a lot of clothing sellers. It can really go up on clothing. So let's say typically the clothing category you're in, let's say it's sweaters or coats or jackets, it'll be 5%. And all of a sudden the suggested rate is 7, 8, 9, 10. On some categories, I've seen 11 and 12% as the suggested rate. Doesn't mean you need to do it. And this is why I'm bringing it up. And I bring it up in this tip sheet for you, which again, this is on my website. I love to be selling.com. It's eBay seller holiday money making tips. And I bring this up, which is people will say, I'm not getting the results that I used to get from promoted listings, or I'm doing promoted listings and I'm not getting results. Okay. So put your thinking cap on. Okay. And let's say you're doing 2% across the board. And the suggested rate for the category you're in, let's say you're in a clothing category that's 9%. And just think about that. eBay's saying 9%. And what that means is that's what most of the sellers are doing. When they take the sellers and they're averaging on them, they're telling you this is the rate for the category. This is what is going to get you results is 9%. Okay. And you're doing 2. Now, I love eBay, but I don't want to give them 9%, right? That's going to really cut into my profits. But again, this is the holidays. Perhaps I can bump it up to 3 or 4 or 5. Remember, with promoted listings standard, it is pay per sale. It is not pay per click. So I'm only paying eBay that 3% promoted listings fee, or that 4% promoted listings fee, or 5% promoted listings fee when the item sells. And it has to be a direct click on the item. They have to buy the exact item that they click on within 30 days of the initial click. So they click it, and then eBay puts on what's called a cookie. So they're tracking you, and they know that you click that item. Now, this is the thing that I like with promoted listings. So they can click the blue pen. This is the promoted listing item. If they buy this blue pen, I'm going to be paying eBay, let's say 4%. So they land on the blue pen, but let me look for something else. Then they go for the sticky notes and they buy the sticky notes. Do I pay a promoted listings fee on the sticky notes? No, because they came in on the pen and then they browsed my listings. This is particularly helpful for store people, and they bought the sticky notes. Okay. But I got their attention with the pen, another reason to be listing, right? Because you never know what they're going to come in on. So that's what I'm saying is you got to just sort of think, nobody likes to pay more than they have to. But if eBay's telling me 9%, I was helping a client with this. If eBay's telling me 9% or 10%, and I'm giving them 2, and I'm not seeing really great results, like I'm not getting a lot of sales, it could be the numbers. Okay. And again, I'm not telling you do anything you're not comfortable with, but can you go up a bit? Can you go up to 3? Can you go up to 4? And then watch it. Okay. And you're going to need to watch it for more than a day or 2. And that's what can be tough too with promoted listings. I'll change the rate because I'm testing, and then I'm going in and I'm checking it every day. You need to give it like at least a week and more like 2 weeks, but I would bump it up, particularly with the holidays. Okay. People are bumping up their ad rates. They're spending more on promoted listings because they're getting the traffic. They want to get those customers in. They want their inventory to move. And okay, they may not want, and some of them will do 9%. Some will give eBay exactly what the suggested rate is. Okay. But you don't need to. But if it's 9 and you're at 2, that's low. And then just go, okay, how much more can I come up? And still, because you know what your expenses are, how much money you need to make off the item. But is it worth it to give eBay 2% more or 3% more on that promoted listings fee, which will help incentivize? I'm incentivizing eBay, like, come on, eBay, to show off my item more because I'm raising the rate on the promoted listings standard. So do take a look at this blog post, eBay seller best holiday money making tips, because I've got all kinds of tips in here for you. And also on my website, if you scroll to the bottom of the blog, but you'll also see it when you log onto my website, I have a freebie for you, which is eBay seller 12 days of Christmas money making tips. And I've got 12 great tips. I had fun with the 12 days of Christmas just for you, and grab this now as a downloadable PDF. So read the blog, grab the free tip sheet. But as you have time, take a look at your promoted listings, because the rates have already started going up. They typically go up like November, December, and they, in most categories, will stay elevated in January. But for yours, let's say you're a category that's not a hot holiday category, your rate might have gone down. So let's say, which is really good news, right? So let's say you're giving eBay 4% because eBay wanted 6 and it's gone down. Now the suggested rate is 5 or 4. Oh, I might want to drop it down a little bit. So it's worth it right now. It's worth it to be looking at your rates. And then once we get out of this very busy holiday season, check it, every couple of weeks, maybe once a month. But at the holidays, I encourage you to be checking it like once a week, every couple of weeks. And for my part-time sellers, I know that can be a time crunch, so maybe every couple of weeks. But go and check it now, because if you are a 2% across the board person, there's a very good chance that the rates have gone much higher than that, and you get better results, more sales. Again, you're doing all that wonderful work on your listings, more sales by just giving eBay another percent or maybe another 2%, just to incentivize them to showcase your items better in search, because that means more sales for you. So you're giving them a little bit more money, but you're getting more sales. You're getting more revenue. It pours more money back in your pocket. So grab my free eBay Seller 12 Days of Christmas Money Making Tips and have a wonderful holiday season. And do ask questions, because I will answer them in these live streams and broadcasts to help you out. And I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.